Have you ever wondered what's really going on in your head when you're just doodling or maybe painting something? Well, today we're diving into the incredible science of how art does way more than just entertain us. It actually physically rewires the very structure of our brain. So let's just ask the big question right up front. Can a simple little doodle actually change your brain? I know, it sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, doesn't it? But the answer from neuroscience is a huge, resounding yes. And it all boils down to one really powerful idea. And that idea is called neuroplasticity. It's this simple but totally profound concept that our brains are not set in stone. They're not these static, fixed organs. Nope. They are constantly changing, adapting, and literally reorganizing themselves based on everything we do and everything we experience. Every single new skill you learn, that's a new connection being forged. Here's a really great way to picture it. Imagine your brain is this dense, wild forest. Every thought you have is like a path through it. And the more you have that thought, the wider and clearer that path gets, right? But see, creating art, that does something really special. It doesn't just walk down the old, worn-out paths. It forces your brain to get out there and blaze brand new trails. Okay, so how exactly does this whole road-building thing work when you pick up a pencil or a paintbrush? Well, it turns out that making art is one of the most complete, holistic workouts you could possibly give your mind. So here's the key. Forget that old myth about being right-brained or left-brained. Art completely shatters that idea. It is one of the very, very few things we do that lights up almost every single part of the brain at the same time. You can think of it as the ultimate mental cross-training. Just look at this. Your brain is absolutely firing on all cylinders. You've got your visual centers processing shapes and colors, your motor control guiding your hand, your memory pulling up images and feelings, and your emotional centers pouring all of that onto the page. And it's all happening at once. This is what scientists call multimodal encoding, and it builds these incredibly strong, durable neural pathways. Here is the perfect real-world example of that. If you ask a kid to just describe a tree, they'll use their language centers. Okay, fine. But if you ask them to draw a tree, whoa, now we're talking. Now they have to really look. They have to remember details. They have to coordinate their hand and their eye, and they have to express how they feel about it. That single act of drawing creates a much, much deeper and more permanent understanding in their brain. Art is also a master bridge builder inside your head. It actually forces the logical, planning part of your brain, that's the prefrontal cortex, to work hand in hand with the emotional, intuitive part, your limbic system. And by strengthening those communication cables between the two, you develop what's called integrated thinking. And that, my friends, is the bedrock of all creative problem solving. So, okay, art makes us smarter and more creative. That's amazing. But it also has a really direct and powerful impact on our well-being. So let's get into the science of how it actually makes us feel good. I want you to think about creating art as a kind of active meditation. You know that feeling when you get totally absorbed in a project, when time just seems to disappear? Well, when that happens, your breathing actually slows down, your heartbeat steadies, and your mind gets a much-needed break from that constant cycle of worrying and overthinking. It's like giving your brain a safe space to just be. And the chemical results of this are just striking. On a biological level, making art is proven to lower your stress hormones, things like cortisol. But at the exact same time, it cranks up the release of dopamine. That's the brain's feel-good chemical. It's the one responsible for motivation, for pleasure, for that feeling of reward. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. That dopamine hit, it's biologically rewarding. It is literally your brain's way of saying, hey, that was awesome. Let's do that again. And this creates this beautiful, positive feedback loop that strengthens your memory, builds your self-confidence, and keeps you coming back for more. And look, these benefits we're talking about aren't just a one-and-done kind of deal. They actually accumulate and evolve, supporting our brain's health across our entire lives. Just take a look at this timeline. In childhood, art is building that crucial foundation for flexible, innovative thinking. Then, in adulthood, when life gets chaotic, it's a way to reconnect with ourselves. And this is so important. In old age, engaging in creative stuff is a powerhouse for preserving memory. It's even been shown to slow cognitive decline in conditions like dementia. So, when you put all of this evidence together, you really come to one single, inescapable conclusion. It is time we completely reframe how we think about art's place in our lives. When you look at a table like this one, the connection just becomes crystal clear. You can see the internal brain benefit, like better focus, and then you see the visible real-world outcome, like fewer distractions. It's cause and effect. Art isn't just about making things look pretty, it's about building a better, stronger, more capable brain. This all points to a massive, necessary shift in our mindset. We have to ditch that old-fashioned idea of study first, art later if you have time. The science is absolutely clear. We should be prioritizing art because it makes us more focused, more innovative, and more effective in everything else that we do. And I want to leave you with this really powerful thought. Art is not just another subject to check off a list. It is a fundamental mechanism for human development. It is, quite literally, how the brain grows. So, that brings us back to you. Knowing everything we've talked about, that every stroke of a pen, every bit of clay you shape, is actively building a better, stronger, more resilient mind, the only question left is, what will you create today to rewire your brain?